Thank you. Thank you very much. It's obviously a great occasion to be able to celebrate the delisting of the MEK, a listing that never should have taken place to begin with. All credit to Madame Rajavi and everybody who worked so hard to do that. But the real question now is what comes next. And the pressure that I think we should feel because of the brevity of time that we may have to act is something to focus on. You know, we are at a potentially critical moment throughout the Middle East. In the United States, we're focused on the assassination of 4 Americans in Benghazi on September the 11th anniversary of the first September the 11th. But who can say, in the time since this meeting began and the time that this meeting will end, what else has happened in the Middle East, in Syria, in Gaza, in Libya, in Yemen, in Jordan? We are at a point where forces in the region have begun to move beyond the control of governments to influence. And I'm very much worried that if we don't seize the opportunity provided by the delisting of the MEK to accomplish the objective of regime change in Iran, that the moment may pass us by. Because the imperative to have an effective opposition is on us right now. It took a long time, too long, to get the terrorism designation lifted, and it has limited the amount of time that we may have to effect regime change. Let me just say that the most urgent issue is to deal finally with Ashraf and liberty. The performance of the United Nations over these past few years and continuing today remains utterly unacceptable. The UN has done itself grave damage by allowing Martin Kobler to supplant the work of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. This is damage to the High Commissioner that will reverberate through the years. The whole point of the High Commissioner is to be separate from national concerns, to take out of domestic politics refugee issues, to process refugees to the country of final asylum quickly. And the interposition of Martin Kobler has prevented that. That's why I think the Secretary General, who oversees the entire UN system, needs to take this in hand, and the sooner the better. And let's not kid ourselves. I think we can all agree that Secretary of State Clinton did a courageous thing in lifting the terrorist designation. But make no mistake about it, it took courage because she had to oppose her own permanent bureaucracy that still believes that the MEK should be on the list, that's still in the grip of the idea that the regime in Tehran today has enough legitimacy to deal with it. Because until that mentality in the permanent bureaucracy is dealt with effectively, it will remain a problem for the Iranian opposition in America to take hold. We can see today, even as we meet, how the regime in Tehran tries to affect policy throughout the Middle East. These rockets are Fajr 5 rockets. They are built in Iran and undoubtedly supplied by the regime in Tehran to Hamas. Now, I think we understand what Hamas is trying to show when it fires rockets at Jerusalem. They could well hit Israeli targets to show that Hamas has this capability. But what else could those rockets hit? They don't have good guidance systems. There's no telling where they land once they're launched. Those rockets, those Iranian-supplied rockets, could kill innocent Palestinians. They could land on the Haram el-Sharif. They could damage the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. How can Hamas say legitimately that it upholds the tenets of Islam when it threatens such holy sites through the indiscriminate use of these terrorist rockets? And what does it tell you about the cynicism of the mullahs in Tehran that they would give the terrorist group Hamas this capability to put Palestinians in jeopardy of death from the sky and to risk the destruction of holy sites. This is the way the government in Tehran performs on a daily basis. Lengthens the amount of time that it will oppress the Iranian people and pushes us closer to an even greater conflagration throughout the Middle East. And this, of course, raises the critical question of the Iranian nuclear weapons program, which every day gets closer to the mullah's 20-year-long objective of deliverable nuclear weapons. And here there is a particular responsibility for the United States and Europe not to give the government in Tehran a legitimate agreement that allows them to continue this nuclear threat. Ladies and gentlemen, this deal would be a disaster for Iran, for the Middle East, and for the world. There is effectively no reason to give Iran any legitimacy to enrich uranium to any level. The regime is pursuing nuclear weapons. It has already violated its solemn obligations under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. This regime cannot be trusted with a nuclear program. And if we allow them to enrich for any purpose, you will find that they are violating the conditions of that agreement in ways that we can't possibly detect, no matter what they say about additional IAEA inspectors. Once the sanctions are reduced or eliminated, it will be difficult, if not impossible, to put them back into place. But the temptation for politicians, European and American alike, to enter this deal is going to be very substantial. So in this next few months, as we see the Middle East in turmoil, it will be critical to explain that the only way that you could trust Iran with a peaceful nuclear program of any kind is to change the regime in Tehran, get in a regime that reflects the will of the Iranian people, let the people of Iran speak, and then see where we go. Thank you very much.